Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at the SSR Toys the N52 Knight, aka New 52 Batman. Now I got mine as a review sample direct from SSR. As always, all opinions are 100% my own. I have not been asked to only say good things. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new 1/6 scale figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, the box itself is really tall, surprisingly, and I think that has something to do with the size of the figure inside, which is getting me pretty excited. Up front, an image of New 52 Batman holding his grapnel gun, SSR in the corner, and down below, the N52 Knight. On the side of the box, once again the N52 Knight, more of a blue gradient down below, whereas up the top it's a touch darker. We have this smoke in the background and some very techy looking panels. Oh, and by the way, the cardboard for this box is super thick and sturdy. So it turns out that this is a collab between SSR and Overflow Creation, who at the time of filming this video I've never actually heard of. Up top we have some warnings, then down the bottom, SSR Toys website and their Insta. I've been trying to build out my 1/6 scale comic book Justice League for quite some time now, but I haven't found my Batman, so I'm hoping that this guy will fill that spot in the league for me. First in-hand impressions? So far so good. He feels really hefty and sturdy. I know the New 52 design isn't for everyone, but I happen to really like it. What we are going to do now, though, is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box, and by all means, there is more underneath this top layer, and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Starting off with the display base first, which does remind me of the old school Hot Toys DX style bases. I don't dislike this, I just don't love it. I would have preferred some other kind of diorama display base, maybe even with a nameplate, because they have left that area blank. For me, I'm going to go with a slightly smaller footprint custom display base. Now up top we do have this pretty sick looking stonework with washers in the crevices, and on the bottom they've even sculpted in their SSR logo. Then up the top, an adjustable crotch grabber. We will talk about these two in much more detail when we actually pop them on him. We do have one interchangeable mouthplate and a rebreather. I hope this is a subtle hint for a future figure, because I would love to see Talon in 1/6 scale. Court of Owls mask, perfect accessory for Batman. They've even added this subtle scratching on the surface and some pitting, then done a blackwash to bring out that sculpt work. It's not overdone, it doesn't look heavy-handed, it's nice and soft. The best part about this is you can just have it sitting on the display base as some set dressing. The grappling gun, to me, almost reads as though it's a comic bookified BVS version. The short, steampunky looking barrel, then having the orange dry brushing over the top part to make it look like it's aged metal, and the massive exaggerated handle, all of that works for me. Then the cable, that's made of real metal, and it's removable, so if you decide you just want to display him holding the grappling gun versus using it, totally doable. We do get 3 Batarangs in total. They're all the same mold and they're sculpted out of plastic, painted in gunmetal. And lastly, a full array of hands, ranging from gripping hands already installed on him to open palm hands with the most amount of detail on the inside, the ribbing and the wrinkling, and what look like teaspoons on the back of them. Quite an interesting touch, but comic book accurate. Closed fists, and 1 Batarang holding hand. What we are going to do now, though, is get Batman himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Just zoomed out the way we are, rotating around in front of me. If you told me, not knowing anything about this guy, that this was a licensed release, I would probably be inclined to believe you, because this guy looks bloody fantastic. He's big, he's broad-shouldered, he's bulky, he fills out the suit, but he's proportionate. He looks natural just standing there. Then the outfit on top of the body, it's tight enough so that you can see his musculature poking through. And there is a ton of surface detail, plus a metallic finish, which does contrast against the matte black for the cowl and the gauntlets and the gold for the utility belt. The cape drapes well, and the head sculpt might just be my favorite part about this guy. I reckon this is SSR's best release to date. And that's saying something because, as we know, they've had some absolute bangers. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Batman's Cowl. Translating 2D comic book art into 3D, into an actual tangible physical thing that you can hold, it's never easy, and I think SSR did a commendable job. To me, this does read as though it's Greg Capullo's New 52 Batman design brought to life in 6 scale. He's got the chiseled jawline, you've got the 5 o'clock shadow over the top, the glossy white, slightly cool tinted lenses, and of course, all of the panel line work, which has been hit with a very soft purple wash that doesn't really stick out at you until you get very, very close, then you can see the purple. From a distance, it just helps those panel lines pop a little bit more on the otherwise very matte, textured black cowl. You can even make out his ears sticking out around the sides. They look like they've been armored up with a little bit of detail sculpted on the surface. Having all of the panel line work, I know not everyone loves it, but I do, and it also helps the seam for the head sculpt blend in a little bit better. From the front, you can't even really tell that it's there. So SSR did contact me to tell me that this Angry Mouth plate isn't a final version. The sculpt will be the same, and that's great because I love the way this looks, but the color of the teeth isn't right. With the final one, they're actually white teeth, not this weird beige color. I particularly like it when you tilt the head sculpt down. Dude looks frickin' mean as hell. The Rebreather isn't my favorite option, but it is here if you want it, and there is a ton of detail on it. We've got the vent work, washers in the sculpt work, and it's painted in this bright shiny silver. You can see how reflective that is. Now, when you switch out these mouth plates, they are just held in with friction. There's this little plug around the back that just slots into the hole on the inside of the cowl. When you push these in, just be careful of the edges of the mouth plates because they are supposed to slot into these little bits that stick up towards his ears. That is a very tiny piece. And the last thing you'd want to do is damage the paint applications on these mouth plates because they do look really good. This cape is better than like 99% of Hot Toys Batman capes. Yes, it's long, the bottom is scalloped by the way, but because of how lightweight the fabric is and how much there is of it, I don't think it's going to be a massive issue. It just drapes no problem whatsoever. You don't even really have to do anything with it. Yes, wires would have been nice. I don't miss them. I love drape capes, and this one absolutely works for me. There's this simulated leather grain texture on the surface, this printed waxy effect, and it sits over the edges of the cowl exactly as it's supposed to. Underneath the cape, there is a lot to see back here. You've got the zipper down the back for the suit, some panel line detail on this almost metallic, shiny gunmetal silver surface, and the canisters and cartridges on the back of the belt, done in gold with a wash over the top, so you can pick out all of the detail even from a distance. So it seems SSR are now in the business of making their own custom designed bodies, because this doesn't look like any off-the-shelf bodies that I've ever seen. It's got the really broad shoulders, it tapers down at the waist, and you can see all of this musculature poking through the suit. Got the abs, the pecs, and the big chonky biceps. The suit itself over the top does feel quite durable. I would still be careful with it though. The shiny silver material with the panels, you can see that mine does look like it's lifting in certain sections. I can fix it by just pushing down on it. I would still exercise caution when it comes to posing. If you've ever handled any Hot Toys superhero style figures with those rubbery suits, you know exactly what this feels like already. Now it does have this sheen over the top, plus the glossy black bat symbol. And there are some textured dotted sections underneath the shoulder pads, which are made of this rubbery plastic, and there are washers in the crevices. These are held on with Velcro, so if they fall off on you throughout the course of posing, don't worry about it. Pop them right back on, they should sit back on the Velcro no problem. Now the gauntlets are also made out of that rubbery plastic, so these spikes, even though I'd still not put too much pressure on them, I don't think they're going to break on you. They've also hit them with silver, so they do stand out against the sculpt work for the rest of the gauntlets. Same thing with the little bits and pieces on his hands. Having some silver here and there, just to break up the overall black finish, never a bad thing. The belt is adjustable. Just watch out for the bat bulge, because it can get in your way when you're trying to pull the belt down. Because there is friction with the rubbery belt against the more slick finish for the suit, it should hold in place when you push it down and lock it where you want it to be. For the legs, Panel lining galore front and back, that shiny silver finish, and musculature poking through the suit. Then the knee pads, they're done in the same way as the shoulder pads. They're more of a rubbery plastic. The boots, a split cut boot design for maximum range of motion. Leather grain texture, some wrinkling sculpted in, and even some tread down below that I'm pretty sure is comic book accurate with the little W in the middle. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, New 52 Batman, and on the right, the Sideshow version. The Sideshow one's been my comic book Batman in my comic book league for pretty much the entire time. Now that I'm seeing these two standing together, I thought the SSR one was going to be too tall. He's not. He's only ever so slightly taller than the Sideshow one, so I reckon this could work with the rest of my comic book DC figures. See what I mean? Batman and Joker standing together? Even though this Joker is quite old now, it's the old Sideshow one, I think this works. Yes, Batman is taller than Joker, and that's fine. I reckon the Dark Knight should be taller than the Clown Prince of Crime. Sometimes Batman is depicted being taller than Superman, this being the old Sideshow one. I reckon it doesn't work quite as well as the other comparisons. I'm just holding out hope that at some point we're going to get a classic Jim Lee Superman from SSR, because I'll definitely be picking up that one. Going over Articulation, I've literally got no idea what to expect here, seeing as though this is their own unique body mold. Starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a split cut and a double ball peg. Looking up to there, looking down to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. His shoulder pads are on Velcro, so if they pop off on you, don't worry about it. Just dial in the pose, then pop them right back on. The arms will go up to there, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that hinges up and down. Swivel at the bicep, double bend at the elbow going just past 90 before the bicep collides with the gauntlet, and for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. His torso will crunch forward to there, going back to there, swivel, and pivot side to side. His legs will go forward to there, do mind the bunching however, going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee going past 90, and a double ball peg for the ankles, with a split cut boot design. Good for a little bit of forward and back, swivel, as well as ankle tilt. Wrapping up on the SSR N52 Knight, aka New 52 Batman. Now, I knew I was going to like this guy going in, but I didn't know I was going to love him as much as I now do. New 52 has always been up there for me, like I said earlier on, this design just works for me, but it's not like god tier status like Hush or The Dark Knight Returns. Those are my all-time favorites. Now that I have this guy in hand, it's somehow elevated the comic book design for me. This figure is one of my all-time favorite 1/6 scale comic book figures. He is going with the rest of my comic book league, from Sideshow, Daft Toys, various other third-party companies. He stands out, but he also fits right in, which is exactly what I was hoping for. He comes with plenty of accessories, the Court of Owls mask being the standout for me, and you get the switch-out mouth plates, plus a display base, which not every third-party company gives us, unfortunately. So yeah, I am over the moon with how this guy turned out. And I will be keeping an eye on SSR going forward, because I have a feeling they're going places. They're going to be making even bigger and better figures than this guy, and that's saying something, because this figure is incredible. Now, I got mine as a review sample from SSR. As always, all opinions are 100% my own. I have not been asked to only say good things. It just so happens that they ended up making a real cracker of a figure. Now, if you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.